Are you a current or future physician assistant wanting to learn more about finances? Then join me on this journey to become a PA the FI way. Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a practicing certified physician assistant who will be your host. It took me 5 years after I started practicing medicine as a PA to thoroughly dive into my personal finances after I discovered the concept of financial independence. I want to use what I have learned to help you avoid some of the financial mistakes that I have made while sharing some of the financial wins that I have had along the way. Join me as we discuss financial strategies to guide you to becoming a physician assistant on the way to financial independence. Hey there, and welcome back to PA the FI Way, the show where we explore real-life strategies to live well, spend smart, and make the most of your time, money, and freedom. Back in episode 139, I reviewed how you can treat travel as an investment and talked about 10 different ways that travel enriches your life. I know many of you love to travel, whether that's domestically for CME conferences or visiting your friends or family, or planning a short getaway to a beach or a mountain town, or whether it's internationally visiting unique and beautiful countries that you've never been to before. Well, today's episode is for those of you who love to travel, but don't love the high price tag that often comes with it. Whether you're planning a weekend getaway or a once-in-a-lifetime trip, I'm going to share simple, practical travel tips that can save you hundreds, if not thousands, on things like flights, lodging, food, and activities. And here's the best part. I've put together a free resource for you, the ultimate guide to saving money on travel. And it has all the tips from today's episode in one place, so you can print it, pack it, and save big on your next trip. You can grab the free download at the link in today's show notes, or message me on social and I will send it your way. Now let's dive into all these money saving tips for you. I've broken these down into a few different categories: general travel tips, flights and transportation, lodging, food and drinks, and activities and attractions. Let's first review overall general travel tips. The first tip that can save you big on travel pretty much anywhere and for the overall cost of your trip in multiple categories is to travel during shoulder season or off-peak seasons. Shoulder season is just before or just after peak season, and then off-peak seasons are those seasons or time of year where people usually don't visit those locations. For example, a couple of years ago, we visited Banff and Jasper National Parks in the Canadian Rockies, and those are two beautiful parks. If you ever get the chance to visit, you definitely need to put them on your list. They have the beautiful turquoise glacial blue lakes surrounded by mountains with glaciers all around you. It's so pretty. Also, tons of wildlife. Because those parks are so popular over the summer, we decided to book them in the shoulder season into the fall in September because kids and families have returned to school. And that was the time of year where those parks were starting to become a little bit less busy with peak season wrapping up. A time that I visited a city during off-peak season was several years ago. I was on this northeastern road trip with friends for a wedding, and we ended up visiting New York City in the absolute dead of winter. And they had just gotten a blizzard the day before, so there's probably at least a foot of snow. And because it was cold, winter, tons of snow, it really felt like we had New York City to ourselves. It was a very, very bizarre feeling because when you see movies or TV shows about New York City, you see all sorts of busyness and tons of people, huge crowds. So those are a couple examples. The next general tip to save you on travel is to use a travel credit card that has no foreign transaction fees. So every time you swipe your card, you're not getting charged extra fees simply to use it in a different country. And that leads me to my next travel tip for you. If you're already not on the travel hacking bandwagon, I highly encourage you to seriously consider joining. I did a deep dive on travel hacking back in episode 22, so I won't go into all the details today. But on the surface level, travel hacking is where you sign up for a credit card that has travel rewards. And generally you sign up for these cards when they have large bonuses. Then you use your travel hacking points to put towards travel so that your travel is either free or drastically reduced. My husband and I have personally utilized travel hacking to fly and stay in Costa Rica for free a few years ago. And then recently in March, we flew and stayed at an all-inclusive resort that was a Hyatt for free in Cancun, Mexico. My absolute favorite travel hacking credit card, the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card, has its highest sign-up bonus offer going on right now. And it's where you get 100,000 points if you meet the minimum spend of $5,000 within the first 3 months of when your card is opened. Like what we did for our recent trip to Cancun, one of the most beneficial ways to use this card is to send the points to a travel partner such as Hyatt, and you can also consider getting a Hyatt credit card and combining those points for extra free nights of stay. Hyatt now has all-inclusives in addition to hotels throughout the world, so there are a ton of great options. This offer is for a limited amount of time, and Chase doesn't actually share when the offer ends. Sometimes it ends in as little as 30 days, and this offer started in early April. So the next couple of days here coming up would be the time frame that you'd want to sign up for this. Sometimes these offers have lasted longer, but it just depends on the year. If you're interested in the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card, go ahead and send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I will refer you with the link, or you can check out the link in the show notes for today's episode as well. I would so very much appreciate if you use my referral link because I do get some points as well for referring you and recommending this card for you. And I'm absolutely happy to answer any questions about the card or travel hacking. If you have them, send them my way. The next general travel tip that I have for you is to withdraw cash locally from ATMs, but not at airport exchange counters, because those can tend to have higher fees and not a great rate for the transfer. The next tip is to avoid roaming charges for your phone by using either local SIM cards or Wi-Fi calling apps such as WhatsApp. If you're interested in checking out cruises, myself and my family, we've used vacationstogo.com and have booked a handful of cruises through them, have had really great experiences, and they have the absolute best deals if you consider booking the cruise within the next 90 days. You can find cruises all over the world through there: Alaska, the Caribbean, Mexico, even over in other continents like Europe and Asia as well. They even have world cruises on there where you're cruising around the world for a few months in a row. Vacationstogo.com is also a travel agency company, and that brings me to the next tip. Sometimes working with a travel agent can actually get you better deals or packages overall and save you money with traveling, even if you are paying them a fee or if they're charging you for their services. The other useful thing about a travel agent is certainly it can save you time overall so that you are not doing all the booking or the research. So some people really like to use travel agents to save them both for costs and time. Let's transition to talking about flights and transportation. The first tip is to be flexible with your travel dates and destinations if you're open to it. I totally understand that sometimes you are limited with certain dates for your travel, or you're for sure going to a certain destination, but flexibility can be key. Next, for flights, use tools like Google Flights, Skyscanner, or Hopper, and through there you can set fare alerts on many of those websites to have them actually track when the price drops for you. You can consider flying midweek. Tuesdays and Wednesdays can be better fares for some flights, but not always, but you can double check. The next tip that I encourage you to do is join frequent flyer programs. Even if you don't travel often, you can still accumulate points for future trips. So for example, there are some airlines that I don't travel super frequently. I prefer other airlines, but I still have opened a frequent flyer program through them and have an account so that when I do fly, the points accumulate in there and then I can apply them towards future trips down the road. If you are looking at tickets and you feel like it's quite a bit for that round trip ticket that you're looking at, you can consider trying to book 2 one-way tickets instead of a round trip ticket. Sometimes that can be a lot more affordable. And sometimes it's more affordable if you combine it with different airlines. I've done trips where I book one airline one way, another airline the other way, and it was a lot more affordable than doing a round trip through one airline. It's not always the case though, so you definitely need to check your options. For your flights, check alternate airports that are close by the initial major airport you're considering or close to the major city that you're planning on visiting. Really large cities are good examples of where you can do this. For example, New York City has several airports, or there's the Newark Airport that's actually in New Jersey, but it's really close to New York City. Houston has a couple different airport options, so doing that can save you a bit as well. This next tip, I'm going to be 100% honest, I am absolutely not great at this. I do not have this dialed in. For those of you, especially the women out there that are good at this, let me know your secrets and your tips because I am not. And that is to pack a carry-on only to save on baggage fees. I wish I were a lighter packer. I try every year, every trip I go on to not bring as much stuff, but I also like to feel like I'm well prepared for the different activities, the different environments, the different type of weather, all those things. So if you have tips on how to pack lighter, let me know what they are. The next transportation tip that I would have for you is to use public transportation. In many larger cities, you can buy a multi-day pass, and I have found that I kind of like trying to break the code on public transportation, like the Washington, D.C. system. They have a really good public transportation system, and it's always kind of fun to try to feel like you're getting really good at it in a couple days. Where I live in a suburb of the Twin Cities, we don't have a ton of public transportation, so it's not something I utilize daily by any means. But sometimes in larger cities or even different countries, it can be fun to try and can save you a ton on your transportation. Often choosing rideshare apps over taxis can be more affordable. Again, this depends upon the city and where you're visiting. And then for every trip for transportation, I always ask myself, is a rental car actually needed? Rental cars can be pretty pricey because they charge you every single day you're utilizing the car, and that adds up really quickly. Additionally, I don't know if any of you are like me out there, but I literally hate waiting in a rental car line at the destination because I feel like, okay, I've had this long day of traveling. I'm here, ready to go, ready to get to the lodging, and I have to wait in this line for a rental car. Are you kidding me? So I really try to personally avoid rental cars. My husband loves getting rental cars because he likes the autonomy and flexibility of having a rental car. So definitely depends upon where you're going, what you're doing, what your plans are, all those things. Rental cars can be needed, but ask yourself if you can walk or use public transportation, and will that be sufficient for where you're going? For example, AAPA conferences are often in really large cities because they need to have a conference center or convention center that is big enough to host thousands of PAs from around the country and even abroad. Some PAs come from other countries as well. So I have never gotten a rental car for an AAPA conference because you are usually downtown in a big city. There's not a good place to park the car, and those cities are usually very walkable, or again, you can use a rideshare app or public transportation as well to get around. Speaking of AAPA, I will be in Denver coming up here in a couple of weeks. So if you're planning on going to Denver and see me there, reach out to say hi, or if you want to meet up quick, go ahead and message me on social and I'm happy to connect. The next category for travel saving tips is lodging. So for lodging, don't always jump to figuring out what hotel you want to stay in. Definitely consider Airbnbs or VRBOs, otherwise known as Verbos, because those can be a lot more affordable, especially if you're staying with a group of people. If you do stay in a hotel though, similar to the airline loyalty programs, join the hotel loyalty programs to save on future stays too. I've mentioned Hyatt earlier. There's also Marriott and IHG. All of those places have hotel loyalty programs that you can use and sign up for. Also for lodging, consider if you have any friends or family local to the area that you could stay with or that you'd want to stay with as well, depending upon what your plans are for the trip. And you can try alternative lodging options like hostels or even house sitting through trusted house sitters. Or again, depending on the trip, consider camping or even glamping options too. Next, let's talk about food and drinks. The first tip is to consider booking lodging that comes with a free breakfast. When we went to Europe last summer, we looked for some of those options where if we narrowed it down between a couple of hotel options, the one that had the free breakfast was usually the one that we picked because then it was one meal for the day that was already included, especially if they were the same price overall. Coming up in AAPA in Denver, they had several hotel options included for the hotel block, and one of them was right across the street from the convention center and included a free breakfast. So that was the one that my friend encouraged me to take a look at because it was a little bit more affordable and came with free breakfast and still very walkable for the conference. Because I'm an independent contractor in my role, I don't currently have a CME budget because I don't have any benefits. So all of those costs, they will be business expenses for my LLC, but it is nice to be able to save a bit on areas like meals or other areas of travel for conferences too. And then if you are staying in Airbnb or a Vrbo, you can use the kitchen that comes with it to cook your own meals as well. And maybe you decide not to cook every single meal there, but maybe you do one meal a day or 2 meals a day to help you save a little bit overall. The next tip is to eat like a local. For example, you could try street food options or small local restaurants. Speaking of restaurants, definitely look at restaurants that are a little bit of a walk away from the touristy spots. Last summer when we were in Rome was a really great example of this. Rome has major tourist attractions throughout the whole city. And if you are right by the Colosseum or right by the Trevi Fountain, you can bet that those restaurants and cafes or coffee shops are all going to have way higher prices than if you walk 1 or even 2 blocks away. And you often can find restaurants that have better quality food and taste a little bit better too. The next tip for food and drinks is to bring snacks with you from home, especially if there are certain ones that you enjoy. I really like to travel with things like pistachios, almonds, pecans, those types of things, because you can buy some of them in travel packs or just put a few in a little container or Ziploc bags. But I found that the protein is so helpful because travel plans can change and you might have a flight delay and you might be getting to wherever you're staying a couple or a few hours later than what you expected. And all of a sudden you're really hungry, on the verge of hangry, and it's really nice to be able to have those snacks on hand. Also, bring a reusable water bottle that you can fill up throughout your whole trip. I personally hate spending money on water. So whenever I'm able to, I bring it with me throughout the day. And then if you are planning to cook your meals in your Airbnb or VRBO, you'll definitely have to do this. But even if you're just looking for snacks locally or even a picnic lunch, shop at those local grocery stores or markets. I've done this in several countries in Europe, like Sweden, Iceland, Norway, Spain, Ireland, etc. And what I absolutely love about visiting local grocery stores is that it gives you a better sense of the culture and you get to see the different types of food. You get to try produce that's local. You get to try different cheeses that are local. You can look at their different types of chocolates or snacks and find ones that speak to you. And a side note is that I really love bringing back snacks or chocolates or things like that from the grocery stores as souvenirs for others, because those grocery store prices are usually way more affordable than souvenir shops. And then your family or friends can try all those delicious snacks and foods that we don't have back here at home. Another travel tip for your meals and beverages are that you can search specific things in Google Maps, such as cheap eats near me, and that can help you narrow down your search options locally to find places that are a little bit more affordable. Next, let's talk about activities and attractions. When you are visiting all these places that you're planning to go, you definitely don't want to stay in your hotel or your Airbnb the whole time. You want to explore, get a sense of where you're staying, maybe learn a little bit about the history of the city and the culture, and maybe you want to do some fun activities too that you can't do in your hometown. So some more affordable options are to think about what are some free outdoor activities that you can do. Things like public beaches, parks, hiking trails. Most of those are completely free or might have a super cheap permit that's required. And then you're also getting the benefit of being out in nature. Especially in cities, you can join free walking tours, or you can also do a self-guided tour either through an app or You can find a blog about a self-guided tour or even use ChatGPT to create one. Many cities also have free museum days either once a week or once a month that you can visit museums for absolutely free and learn more about history or about science or whatever the type of museum it is. A lot of larger cities also have bundles for attractions like City Pass, Go City, or a few different options there if you're pretty confident that you're going to be visiting more than one attraction. And then one of the absolute best things to do is ask locals for budget-friendly recommendations and hear what their absolute favorite things to see or do are in the area as well. This travel list helps you save overall with different tips of how to make travel more affordable. At the same time, though, I always want to emphasize your time is worth something too. So definitely don't be wasting many hours doing tons of research, going down giant rabbit holes just to save a few dollars here and there, right? These are the tips that you can think about implementing quickly to help you save on the spot, but always value your time as well whenever you are doing travel research too. Don't forget to download your free copy of the Ultimate Guide to Saving Money on Travel by clicking the link in the show notes. So you can either save that copy digitally or print it out so it's on hand, ready to use whenever you travel next. As a reminder, if you're interested in the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, or if you already have a Chase Sapphire Preferred and are thinking maybe you want to check out one of those Hyatt all-inclusive resorts and want to get a Hyatt card, reach out and I'll send you a link as well. When you're checking out the show notes for the link for the guide, it would be so great if you took an extra 5 seconds to leave a quick review if you found this episode helpful for you, or if you share the link for this episode to anyone in your life that is also looking for travel savings tips. Thank you so much for taking a listen today, and I'll see you back here soon. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you decide to continue to join me along this journey of becoming a PA the FI way. Please take a moment to press the subscribe button on the platform that you are listening to this on, but more importantly, consider sharing with another current or future PA that could benefit from the information that we reviewed in this episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.